All right, so before I get into how exactly to add a testimonial carousel in Squarespace 7.1, I am going to summarize the two options to kind of help you decide which one is going to be best for you. So option one is a list section, which is kind of an auto-formatted section by Squarespace in 7.1. And that's what we see here on the Amore template, as well as over here on the Soul template and on the Flora template. These are all similar list sections. Now, these sections are great if you have a small collection of testimonials that you want to display on a single page. They're also great if you want to display images with your testimonials. There's a really easy way to add images and get them to crop however you want them. And then this option is also really great if you want some additional design features, like if you want your testimonials to have these little colored backgrounds, if you want your arrows to be a little bit more fancy, the list section option is going to be great for you. And I should mention that the list section option is only available in Squarespace 7.1. Now, option two takes a little bit more setup, but it's great for people with large testimonial collections that they want to display on multiple pages of their website. So this option uses the combination of a blog page and a summary block, and I'll show you how to do everything later in this video. But again, just to summarize, this option is going to be great for large testimonial collections, folks who want to display text-only testimonials. So if you're not concerned about having a picture with your testimonials, this is a great option. And this option also will work with Squarespace 7.0. So if you haven't switched to 7.1 yet, but you still want a testimonial slider or carousel, option two is going to be best for you. And this is what we see here on the Andrea template. And we've also included this option here on the Sage template. All right, so let's get started with option one, which is how to add a testimonial carousel using a list section. So on the page where you want to add this testimonial slider, you're going to click edit on your page editor and go to where you want to add the carousel. I'm going to add mine to the bottom of this demo site page here. And so the first thing I'm going to do is click add section and then go to the testimonial page type. And here you'll see a lot of different options, but we want to look for the options that have these arrows like this, and there's some arrows over here. This one will even work, but you want to start with one that already has some text. So I'm going to start with this section here. So I'm going to click that and it's going to add it to the page for me. From here, I am going to click Edit Content. And here is where I can start to customize this demo content that gets placed on the page. So the first thing I'm going to do is head over to the content panel, and we can do some fine-tuning later after we've added our content. So once we're in the content panel, what you're going to do is add your testimonials to each item. So replacing this demo content with your own testimonials. Now you can either add, as it's done here, you can add the testimonial or the quote to the title field, and then the description field can be the quote source or the person's name or their initials, whatever you're comfortable with. Or you can format it differently by foregoing the title field altogether and just adding the testimonial right in the description box with the quote source. So I'm going to show you what that looks like here. Let's remove that. So this option is best if you want your quote and your quote source to be the same font and style, or if you want to add star emojis above your testimonial here to indicate like 5-star reviews, that option is probably going to be best for products, not necessarily services, but I've seen some people do that as well. So that's an option, but I personally like the look of, two different font styles happening, so I'm going to keep the testimonial in the title field and reserve the description field for the person's name. Now, additionally, if you want to display pictures with your quotes, you can upload pictures of your clients or customers right here, replacing these demo pictures. You can also choose to turn off the photos, which I will show you how to do in a minute. But once you've added your testimonials here. You can add more if you need to. You can delete any that you don't need, and you can rearrange just by dragging and dropping. Now this title field up here controls the text that shows up above your testimonials. So you can click that and change the text that shows up here. And now we can fine tune the design of our testimonial carousel here. So if we go back to the elements panel, this is where we can customize which elements show up here. So we can turn on and off the title. There's a button option, but that might not make sense for a testimonial section. Here's where you can shut off the image if you don't want to display images with your testimonials. You can choose to not show the title. That's in the case that your quote is in that description field like I talked about. The body text is that description field. And then you can also have a button show up on each testimonial. But again, for this use case, that doesn't always work, or I don't often use that with testimonial sections. And now we can head over to the design panel and really customize the look of this for your particular website. So we want to keep it on carousels so that we can kind of scroll through testimonials here. Right here is where we can adjust the text alignment, and then below that is where we can adjust the columns that display the testimonials, so you can increase or decrease that depending on how you want your section to look. If you chose to display images, you can choose how you want those images to crop. Personally, for when I'm using list sections, I like to use the circle option. I think it just looks cleanest and tidiest. You can decide whether you want your carousel to end at a certain point or scroll infinitely on a loop. If you choose to toggle this off, when somebody gets to the end, it will just kind of jump back to the beginning. You can also choose to turn on or off showing adjacent slides, which let me show you what that looks like. So it's just like a little preview to encourage people to keep scrolling. I like to turn that off. I just think it looks a little bit cleaner, but this is a personal preference thing. And then in these two panels, we can really get into the fine tuning of our design. So in the style panel is where you can add or remove the background color, which is here called a card. And we can also adjust the arrow settings. So we can decide where we want our arrows to display, where we want the alignment of them, the spacing of our arrows, things like that. We can get really fine-tuned with our spacing down here. And in the size and space panel is where we can adjust padding and spacing. Particularly, I like the content width adjuster for these cases where I have the testimonials displayed in columns. I don't want the text, little areas of text kind of bleeding into each other. I like to add in a little bit of space between each testimonial just to make it a little cleaner, a little tidier. And then we can really adjust and fine tune our spacing here. And then once you have the design of your list section set, you're all set. All you have to do to add new testimonials in the future is just come back into your edit content panel, into the content panel itself, and then add more testimonials using the same format that you used for the rest of your items. So if you put the quote in the title field and the initials or name in the description field, just make sure you do the same thing for future testimonials. And then that will add those testimonials to this list section. And then of course you can reorder your items as you see fit. So if you'd like your newest testimonials to appear first, you can just drag those to the top position. Now let's say you want to display more testimonials in a list section on a different page on your website, but you don't want to recreate all the same formatting that you just did. So the best way to do that would be to save this section and then insert it on that new page. So what we're going to do here is click this heart icon to save the section to our section library, and then we're going to navigate to the page that we want to add the testimonial slider section to. So let's say I want to add it to my About page at the bottom. So I'm going to click Edit on the page, And then let's say I want to add it down here. I'm going to click Add Section, Saved Sections, and then we see the list section that we just saved. So as you can see, it added it to the page with the exact same formatting that we've already set up and the exact same testimonials. So a few things to note with this: only the information that you added to the list section before you saved the section is going to show up here. So let's say you saved the section right after creating it, and then months go by and you've added some testimonials, but you go back to your saved section library and add this, only the testimonials that you originally added are going to show up. So on a similar note, adding testimonials to one of these list sections is not going to add them to your other list sections across your site. So if you have a new testimonial that you want to add to several different list sections across your website, you'll have to add them manually to each of these list sections. So for example, I added that first one to the home page. I would go to my About page and add it to that list section as well. So in that case, like I talked about at the beginning of the video, if you have a large testimonial collection, if you want to display the same testimonials on multiple pages of your website, you might be more interested in option 2, which I will get into now. Okay, so the second way to add a testimonial carousel in Squarespace is to use a combination of a blog page and summary blocks. Now we've got this set up on our Andrea template here, as well as our Sage template, like I explained in the beginning of the video. So I am going to demo how to do this on our Amore template here. So the first thing you're going to do is go to your Not Linked section of your Pages panel and add a new page and select Blog. It doesn't really matter what formatting you choose, so I'm just going to choose the first one. And then I'm going to title it Testimonials. So this is where we are going to store all of our reviews, and I'll explain why in a minute. But the next step here, after you've titled this blog Testimonials, you're going to go into the settings of the collection, go into SEO, and you're going to hide all the pages in this collection. We don't need these little snippets, these quotes showing up in search results, so we're just going to hide this page. And then click Save. Now to add a testimonial, we're going to add in a couple testimonials here to show you how this works. So to add a review, I am going to click the plus, and then I'm going to title it according to the person's name or their initials. Let's just say it's AH. And then I'm going to click Save and then Exit. And over here in this menu, under the ellipses, I'm going to click that and click Settings. And in the content panel, I am going to go to the excerpt field, and this is where I'm going to add my quote. So this is just scrambled Latin, but let's say that that's a testimonial. And then I'm going to create the quote source. Now right now, this is using our regular paragraph text, but we can denote different text styles by highlighting text and then choosing our heading styles and paragraph styles. So for this one, I am going to select heading 2 for my actual quote, and then I will leave the source or the initials at paragraph 2. And you'll see why this is important in a few steps. Now once my quote is added, I am going to click Options, Status, Published, and Save. So now that we have one testimonial added, I'm going to go and set up a summary block so we can see how everything we just did is going to show up on our page. So I'm going to click Edit on the page that I want to add the summary block to. I'm just going to add it below the testimonial section that we added for option 1. For this, I'm going to add a blank section. If you're using Squarespace 7.0, you won't see these options. But you can just add a summary block anywhere on the page that you want to add your testimonial slider. But here I'm going to add a block and a summary block. I'm going to center it a bit on the page, and now we can configure this block. So I'm going to click Edit, and as you can see, summary blocks display content from other pages on your site. such as blog posts, products, events, or videos. So what we just did is set up our testimonials in a blog collection so that this block can pull from that collection. So we're going to select a page for it to source from, and we want to select testimonials. And already we see some information showing up, but we will format this in a second. So under primary metadata, we want to click none. Secondary, we want none. Filtering items, we'll get into that in a minute, but for now, let's format this block. Under design, we want to select carousel and decide how many items you want the summary block to display. I like to move this number up to accommodate for any future reviews that I add. Select the items per row. For summary blocks, I usually recommend 1 item per row. I just think this is a cleaner look than columns. You can skip aspect ratio because this is for displaying thumbnail images. You can also skip the text size because this adjustment will not adjust any of the important text from the excerpt here. But the text alignment, you can adjust depending on your preferences. I'm going to choose center align text. Then you're going to remove the header text. Don't really need that here. And then we can select the elements that we want. So I'm going to shut off the title. We don't need the initial in 2 places or the name. We're going to shut off a featured image. We're going to turn on the excerpt because that's where we added our quote. We don't need a read more link because there's nothing more to read. We just want to display that short quote. And then we can skip this metadata position because we turned that off. Now in 7.1, you're going to see some additional options. In 7.0, you won't see these, but in 7.1, you can choose to have a background color. You can customize that color, choose an outline if you want, choose the outline thickness, adjust the corner radius. You can adjust the padding of the content on the background, play around with blend mode, and then blur the backdrop or the element itself. So additional design features available here in Squarespace 7.1. Now I'm just going to leave this plain, and now I'm going to go back and add more testimonials to show you how the slider starts to work. So in my testimonials collection, when I'm ready to add another review, what I'm going to do is select duplicate on that original testimonial or the latest one that I've added. Duplicate that. And I'm going to adjust the name and the content and the post URL. So I'm going to swap out the quote. Let's say this person said something in scrambled Latin. And then, let's see here. To adjust the title, I have to go into the post itself. In 7.0, I believe you can adjust the title in the post settings itself. But we should be all set here to publish this testimonial. So I'm going to click publish there. And now I'm going to go back to my home page so we can see that slider in action. So now we see that second testimonial is displayed. So the latest testimonial that's published is displayed first. And we can slide through our other quotes. Now, if you want to display all of your testimonials on other pages on your website, all you have to do from here is more summary blocks throughout your site. So I'll show you how to do that as well. Let's go to the About page of the More template here. I'm going to add another section, and again, I'm going to add a summary block. Now, I could go through the steps again that I took before and configure this summary block exactly how I did, but I'll have to go back through and make all those design tweaks again. If you don't want to do that, a little shortcut is you can copy and paste blocks. So let's go back to the home page, click edit, and on my keyboard I'm going to type a keyboard shortcut. So I'm going to select the block, this summary block, and then I'm going to type Command C or Control C. and then exit, go to my about page or wherever I want to add that duplicate block. I'm going to add it to this section, and I'm going to type Command V or Control V to paste it, and to paste it on top of the other block. So what I'm going to do is remove that, and we can see that all of our style settings have carried over. Shorten that section a little bit. But the benefit here with these summary blocks is that any new testimonial that you add to your testimonial collection will show up on every summary block automatically. So you won't have to go through each page and add the same testimonial multiple times. You just have to add it once right here on the testimonial block. So again, I'm going to show you what I mean by that. So I'm going to add another post, configure it. All right, so I have published a new quote. So I'm going to go back to see how it looks on our homepage. So we scroll down to the bottom and we see the new testimonial here, along with the first two that we added. Now, again, I'm going to go to the About page and see what it looks like here. So we see that it shows up here as well. So like I said, when you have a new quote, all you have to do is add it once and it will show up to each summary block that is connected to the testimonial collection. Now, a few notes here and reminders. So when you are adding your quotes, your testimonials to this testimonial collection, remember to add the testimonial text to that excerpt field, which is, again, right here. It doesn't really matter what's in the post itself because that's not what's showing up on the summary block. What's showing up is the excerpt. So remember to enter your quote in the correct place. And then at the time of this recording, as of now, the arrows on this summary block carousel here can't be tweaked or moved or changed. So if you want more arrow options, a list section in Squarespace 7.1 might be the way to go. But if you don't mind these little arrows in the upper right corner, that's pretty much the option that we have with summary blocks, both on Squarespace 7.0 and 7.1. And now another cool feature is that you can, with this option too, is that you can have different testimonials show up in different summary blocks by using categories and tags. And I'll get into that now. Okay, so let's say you want different testimonials to show up on different pages. So for instance, we're on our home page now. Let's say we want certain testimonials to show up on the home page versus the About page where we added that other summary block, but you still want to add testimonials only to one place. You don't want to have to add one testimonial several places. So the way to do that is by using categories and tags. So first, let's go into our testimonial content and create categories, and I'll get into tagging too, but for this first one, we're going to go into settings and then options and then categories. Now you can create whatever category you want. So a lot of my clients will separate their testimonials by service type. So coaching testimonials versus consultation testimonials versus therapy testimonials. So, or you can categorize by whatever page the testimonials are showing up on. You can really play around with this. It really depends on your unique scenario. You could also categorize testimonials by service type and then tag by page type if you wanted to get really nitty-gritty about it. I usually use just one or the other when I'm categorizing, but for now I'm going to say this first testimonial is going to be a therapy testimonial. I need to check that. Now, and I'm going to click save, and then my next testimonial, I'm going to come into settings, options, categories, and I'm going to type coaching testimonial and select that, and then click save. And then for this last one, let's make it a therapy testimonial again. There we go. And then we're going to click save. So we have those categorized. Now we need to go to our summary block and configure those a little bit to only display testimonials in certain categories. So I'm going to click edit on the home page, go down here, and let's say on the home page I just want to display therapy testimonials, not coaching testimonials. So I'm going to come into my settings, edit, filter items, by category, I'm going to select therapy. Now we see that only those 2 testimonials are showing that we categorized as therapy testimonials. So likewise, let's go to the About page and denote that as just coaching testimonials. You don't have to categorize and tag, by the way. If you don't, it'll just display everything in that testimonial collection, which is great. So this is categorized or filtered by the type of testimonial. And we're going to click Save and Exit. And we see that just the one coaching testimonial is displayed. So that is a really streamlined way to designate certain testimonials showing up in certain places across your website. So again, this means that anytime you add a new testimonial to your collection and you categorize it as such, it's going to show up in the corresponding place. So let's say we add another testimonial. So we've added our testimonial and now we're going to categorize it as a coaching testimonial and click Save, and then we're going to publish it so it shows up. And now we can see that the summary block that we've filtered by coaching testimonials now shows that newest testimonial and the other one, but not the other 2 therapy testimonials.